Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, I want to talk about 5 Toronto Maple Leafs who I think are being extremely underrated going into these playoffs. The first guy that I want to talk about is Zach Bogosian. We're actually getting some updates on him and some news. Bogosian is wearing a regular sweater at Leafs practice after being in no contact red yesterday, trending towards a return to the lineup in round 1. Now, I gotta admit, when the Leafs first signed Zach Bogosian, I was a little bit nervous, and that's because we just watched an entire season plus a play-in round of Cody Ceci playing next to Morgan Rielly on the top pair. And on the screen, what you're seeing are average game scores from Maple Leafs defensemen from the start of the season until the end of March. If you watched those games and you can remember them, it took Zach a little bit of time to get comfortable, and even then, the Maple Leafs really didn't trust him with a whole lot of responsibility, and the results were not the greatest. But if we're looking at the Maple Leafs' decor from the beginning of April until the end of the season, Zach Bogosian played in 10 games before he ended up getting injured, and those 10 games were pretty good. And some of you may have been thinking, well, yeah, he was paired with Rasmus Sandin for the most part, and no, that wasn't the case. The two are only paired together for about 11 minutes this season. I know that Hyman and Foligno are swapped in Sheldon Keefe's actual practice lines here. This is just the adjustment that I would make because I don't think that Nick Foligno has a lot of chemistry with John Tavares and William Nylander. But if the Maple Leafs are able to roll out a team like this at some point in the first round, I'm liking it. I'm really liking it a lot. Between Bogosian and Muzzin and Simmons and Foligno, this team is a lot tougher to play against. Next guy that I want to talk about, Zach Bogosian's most likely D partner in Rasmus Sandin. I don't think people understand the value of having another defenseman who can play higher up in the lineup if you really needed him to. Because before, when the third pair was Dermott and Bogosian, Sheldon Keefe, like I joked about in an earlier video, didn't trust them to even hold the newest iPhone. They didn't play a whole ton of minutes, and the minutes that they did play were very low leverage and not late in games when they were leading. Travis Dermott has all the talent in the world to skate with the puck and distribute it, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't. He doesn't have much confidence when playing the puck on his stick, and that gives the responsibility to moving the puck and making plays with it to Zach Bogosian, and while he can be crafty and creative with it in certain situations, he's not a guy that I would rely on to always make plays with the puck. With Rasmus Sandin on that third pair now, Sandin is a guy who is going to skate with it, and he's going to distribute it. It allows Sheldon Keefe to have more confidence in that third pair. And that takes the Leafs from having 2 pairs and then another one that can kind of just kill time in between shifts to having 3 pairs who can make a positive impact on the ice. Speaking about confidence and having a positive impact on things that come in twos, it's a perfect way to segue into today's video sponsor, and that is Manscaped. So that being said, I want to introduce to you guys the Lawnmower 4.0. And now the NHL playoffs are right around the corner, and you might want to grow out a beard to support your favorite team, but it does not mean that you should neglect the rest of your body. So if you want to start your journey towards smoother, cleaner, more hygienic balls and just an overall you, follow along with the link that is on the screen and in the video description. And down there's going to be a special promo code for you guys. And with the launch of the new Lawnmower 4.0, you can enjoy all the awesome features that its predecessor had, but it now features wireless charging, which is a huge game changer, and a travel lock so that you're not wasting your battery if it's in your bag and it happens to accidentally turn on. And just to show you guys, like, that light on the end of it is absolutely no joke. And just to demonstrate that it is skin safe, you can hear that it's on right now. I'm going to take my finger and just run it along the blade there, and I'm absolutely fine. Father's Day is coming up, and that would be a perfect gift for dad. Or if you just want to give the simple gift of smoothness, cleanliness, and hygiene to someone in your life, the Manscaped product line is the way to go. I don't necessarily see Alex Kerfoot as being underrated. I think his season was legitimately awful, but I don't think that his season was legitimately awful for reasons that he could have controlled. I'm going to put him in the category of surprising a lot of people these playoffs because he's not playing the role of a shutdown center anymore. When you're miscasting players out of necessity, it really does hurt them, and I think that's what's been going on with Kerfoot this year. I don't think it matters too much anyway, because he would have to play head over heels so much better and be such a standout on that third line or wherever he plays for the Maple Leafs to potentially change what I think are obvious expansion draft plans and draw away from protecting 4 forwards and 4 defensemen. And if that's the case, I think he more than likely does get taken by the Seattle team, and if he doesn't, they more than likely look to move him anyway. But that does not mean that I don't think that this player can be valuable for the Toronto Maple Leafs in these playoffs. He's an underrated playmaker, he's a fast skater, he can be feisty, he can provide a bit of defensive value, and now that he's finally not being miscasted, especially as a shutdown centerman, I still don't think that he's even a winger on a shutdown line, definitely not your first option, but now that he's away from being miscasted in that role as a shutdown center, I think that he provides a ton more value that people just aren't going to see coming. We talked about it in the previous video, how the Montreal Canadiens like to set up in the neutral zone in a 1-2-2 formation. And I think that Ilya Mikheyev is going to be a great player at attacking this and really dismantling the Habs on defense. Whether Ilya Mikheyev is the one carrying the puck or the guy who's charging in real hard on the opposite side of the ice, his speed presents a tremendous problem for the Montreal defenders in this case, because if he's skating the puck up the ice here as fast as we know that he can fly, that's going to back these 2 defenders up. And when they back up, that gives all the other players that you got on the ice a tremendous amount of space to do whatever it is they do best. And at that point, when those defenders are backed up, we just got to teach Ilya to just turn around and hit the trailer for an absolute bomb of a one-timer. I don't know if Mikheyev gets the opportunity to play with a guy who has an absolute bomb of a one-timer, but if he decides to hang on to the puck and skate it into the zone, we'll see what happens. But if he decides to then rim it around the boards instead of carrying it in, what the Maple Leafs can do is they can have a forward on the opposite side, like I already mentioned, absolutely charging through the neutral zone with an extreme amount of speed. And what that's going to do is, because Mikheyev broke the puck in with so much speed, these defenders are going to be backed up, almost standing flat-footed at the wall, and the forward charging in on the opposite side is going to be able to catch that defender flat-footed, and you're going to be able to create a lot of chaos with just a checking line out there. The Montreal defense is big, but it's also slow. They're going to be at their best when the play is cycling around in their own zone. But off the rush, when there's a lot of speed and when there's a lot of moving parts going on, is when they're going to be at their weakest. So if that third checking line ends up being Kerfoot, Nash, and Mikheyev, they could do a lot of damage there, creating a lot of pressure throughout the neutral zone with their speed and really causing a lot of chaos in the Montreal zone just by creating a lot of chances off the rush and picking plays off in the defensive zone, because that's what they're going to be able to do best. I don't think that Mikheyev lacks talent when he's carrying the puck. I think that he just lacks confidence. When he realizes that he doesn't need to skate that fast and he can slow down a little bit to make sure that his hands keep up with his feet, is when he's going to be a dangerous player. And it's up to the Maple Leafs' coaching staff to put him in situations, especially against a team like the Habs, where he can really take advantage of that. The fifth and final player who I think is criminally underrated going into this series, or someone who I think may catch some people by surprise, is John Tavares. Now, hold on. A lot of you are thinking, what are you talking about, Steven? The captain, the guy who's been absolutely on fire the last while? That's the guy who you think is going to be underrated or going to catch people by surprise? Because Montreal does not have enough depth on defense to cover both of those top 2 lines. You got to pick one, and the one that you're going to pick automatically defaults to the guy who won the Rocket Richard Trophy this year. John Tavares' shooting percentage for the first 37 games of the season was 9.6%. If you watched those 37 games, there was never a point in which John Tavares didn't look dangerous in any of them. You see, the average ice time there in those 37 games was just over 18 minutes. Basically a career low for him, in a season where he was still producing offense, but the puck wasn't necessarily going in for him. Started to get some more bounces going his way, 22 points in 19 games, 9 of those being goals, and he shot over 15% in the final 19 games of the season. That was a dominant player. That was a dominant player who was getting an absurd amount of scoring chances still, but actually having a couple of them go in for him. You don't believe me? Independent scoring chances for per 60. John Tavares was 6th in the league among forwards, minimum 500 minutes played this year. Oh my God, Zach Hyman was 4th. All right, so I guess that's 6 guys who I think are going to be extremely underrated or overlooked for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round of these playoffs, and moving forward, of course. I can't highlight all of the players, so if I missed anyone here in this video, make sure to let me know who you think may be going underrated or overlooked for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round of the playoffs and moving forward. As always, guys, make sure to like the video if you did like it and subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. And guys, remember, the Toronto Marlies are playing against the Laval Rocket tonight. Carey Price, Brendan Gallagher are in there on an LTIR conditioning stint. Both teams don't really have anything to play for. Scott Sabourin was loaned from the Toronto Maple Leafs to the Toronto Marlies. He may or may not be playing in that game tonight, but who knows? Maybe an interesting one.